Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to what is already the 8th session of our the Power of Sourcing session, the Power of Sourcing 2025. Where does time go? We are already in our 8th session. And after our last week's technical difficulties, Andrew, our head of marketing, has worked relentlessly with the team of StreamYard to make sure that we don't run into technical difficulties. So fingers crossed this is not going to happen, but trust us, this time things should go much smoother. I'm excited to welcome today's guest, Renita Käsper. She's a global talent acquisition leader and the co-founder of Recruitment Thursday. More on that a little bit later. But before I give Renita the stage, let me tell you a little bit more about what Matcher is. I am Adrian. I am the co-founder and CEO of Matcher. We are a global embedded RPO company, and we help companies like TikTok, Booking, Stripe, Revolut, but also Action and Heineken scale by offering them flexible embedded sourcing coordination and recruitment teams. If you need to hire quickly, if you open up a new geography, or if you are missing certain kind of skills within your team, please let us know. We would love to get in touch with you and work with you. And I have good news. We are actively hiring. So if you're looking for a new role, if you want to work at a really exciting and awesome company, please have a look on our careers page because we have multiple vacancies open. Now, let me welcome Renita on stage. Renita, welcome.
Hey.
And
Hey.
Renita, where you're? I know you travel a lot. You're originally from Estonia, if I'm not mistaken. But where in the world are you now?
Yeah, I'm originally from Estonia. Otherwise, people think by my name that I'm German.
Yeah.
But yeah, the umlaut. But yeah, currently I'm in Portugal and in Algarve, a little city called Portimao.
Yeah.
But which has the most wonderful beaches and cliffs, and it's winter time, meaning it's all for me.
Yeah.
Don't come.
And what does winter time mean in terms of temperature? Like winter to make us jealous?
18. You can go also in a beach and, drink a glass of wine there. And, the bravest one coming from the north are, of course, in the water even and taking sun. But
Yeah.
the locals have really a hardcore clothing and those strange ones.
Yeah. Wow. Love it. Yeah. And what a great time to be alive that you can work from anywhere, right? Hence, we're having this global audience, right? We have people from the US, Canada, Estonia, from London already typing in the chat. Renita, one last question before I let you take the stage. What is Recruitment Thursday?
Yeah, Recruitment Thursday is recruiting community.
Yeah.
And we did co-found it together with my long time back teammate, Piratus, and I did recruit her. And and then we thought that, let's do something cool and give back to recruitment community, because if we not sharing, let's say, the knowledge, context, what we learned ourselves, then who will do?
Yeah.
And from that already, I think it's now 8 years? I think it's 8 years.
Yeah.
And we're doing events and we're going visiting different companies, and companies also can have, their stage, but we can then bring in some knowledge, and it's a great networking and also great to find a new talent.
Amazing. Awesome. Renita, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm trying to be. Your number counting was very getting me dopamine high now. The 1, 2, 3.
No worries. We'll do that. We'll do the fade away, and then the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hey, I think the floor is mine now. I think
the floor is yours. We didn't do the cutaway. The floor is yours.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. Nice to meet you, everybody, and greetings from Portugal, as I said already. I'm Renita, and I will talk today about what maybe relationships, maybe trust, maybe collaboration a bit. And top of all, I would like to talk about teamwork. But before that, I will actually also share a few things about myself, that who I am, and let's get it over it fast. I'm actually, let's say 20 years already in talent acquisition and employer branding, and it's really goes half and half. I have been in an agency half of the time, built up the one, was the first person in the team. And then another half, I have worked in a global in-house team. Very different things like, language app, testing company, and now last travel tech company. What I do more, you can see that I'm building different communities. I also jury member of different employer branding competitions. And you can really know that apparently I don't have personal life, that everything I do is somehow linked to employer branding recruitment. And it gives me a great pleasure to give back to the community. And again, I'm pretty selfish that every of those kind of situations, events, networking, it also gives back to me. I'm learning and, a little bit sucking into everybody's brains because somebody somewhere definitely knows something better than me. I've lived in Berlin, I lived in Lisbon, and last 3 years here and there. I think it's topic from my other talk, that how I live now with a suitcase of 23 kilos of things. And I would say that it's really teaches you to be very mindful what you buy, when you buy, and every time you buy something, you need to throw something out of your suitcase. But let's now today don't talk about remote work or remote leadership, but let's go to the topic which we wanted to talk today. This is the topic which really intrigues me, because I think here is my absolute greatest collections of the screenshots. I have a few pages more. And now it's a possibility to me to actually share it with you. It intrigues me that how we actually should really build the hiring teams. That there is one side where we have recruiters and the other side where we have actually hiring managers. And I would like to share today my own experiences, my own also practical tips, what we have done with the different teams and different companies to make this relationship better or to build the better hiring teams. And there is a little bit of also this kind of, generalization, and there is a little bit, I think, we adding a color or some of those topics. But of course, as there is recruiters and recruiters out there, there is also hiring managers and hiring manager here. But I think we want to see both sides of the story and do it better and learn from there. And for me, it would be really resolving the challenge. Could we get in some point on this kind of, let's say, smoothly working hiring team quality when everybody knows their place on there and we don't actually really have need for such kind of screenshots. Also, we can go like different stories here, what we see, hiring managers lacking feedback, that we're waiting somewhere. We see also that how you keep your candidate warm. We see also that if we haven't trained the hiring managers, probably they might ask different, not maybe tasteful questions. Then there is more. We're talking about intake meetings and kickoff meetings, and that we need a proper preparation for the job. Then we also don't give feedback that why somebody is not suitable for the role. Or one of the favorites, that we have a changing requirements role. That could be the story. And here, one of my favorites actually that is about the pipeline. As you can see, the pipeline really is not dead. It's just resting. That I think it's one of my favorite screenshots what I have ever seen. But also the incredible briefing, then when you probably want to hire somebody, like let's say you want to buy a Ferrari, but you only have a budget for a nice family car, is different part of the briefing. Then also the surprise of the hiring manager when we can't actually afford somebody in this budget. But normally in a case, it's coming out of end of the hiring when we already want to make an offer, and one which actually shows that, okay, I want to see all of your candidates, which is definitely about trust. What I want to say with all of that, and this is the side, of course, what I see recruiters and sourcers posting. I think we would have a same line of what hiring managers would posting if they would do such similar thing, the screenshots. I mean, the two stories, recruiter story, sourcer story, and hiring manager story. Throughout my, let's say, 20 years of career, I almost never seen a sourcer or recruiter who actually really succeeded just for a technical skills, or let's say just for let's say sourcing or recruitment skills. I think the most successful recruiters or sourcers who I ever seen are the ones who are very good on also building rapport, building relationship, and really successfully managing their hiring managers. And that's actually the one I'm getting from the hiring manager side, that how the recruiters could be better, how we could be both more successful of our jobs. And going forward from that, I see the both of those, all of those screenshots saying that recruiting is not my job. I don't have time for this, my plate is full, and I have much more important things to focus on. And can you just go ahead and do your job? What this actually says to me is that I don't see it as my priority, and I don't see it how I actually play part of that. And I was just curious to understand that how it comes to that we think that this is not the hiring manager job. And what I did, I actually tried to dig deeper. I tried to understand, I asked questions from ChatGPT that, look, is it really that hiring is not linked to the people management? And came out that no, that the leader's job is to get the right people on the bus, hire the best in the world, that great vision without great people is irrelevant, that we need to produce more leaders, you build people, people build the business, that it says that yes, it is. But somehow we then have this kind of controversy there that why is that it's not feels something that people could be accountable of. And I digged a bit even more deeper. And I asked also that, okay, who is part of that? That we have then recruiter, we have sourcer, we have hiring managers, we have interviewers, all those people. And if I put this into Google, it's really very sure about that. And recruitment is a team sport. That is really, let's say, group of people who actually need to bring the outcome. And it was very curious to me that how we then could actually collaborate better and how we could understand more what we need to do for that actually the teams would act like the teams or would also know the roles better. I digged even more deeper, and now you can also put on your chat the piece of that what kind of sport you think actually the recruitment is. Because for me, it's definitely deal with relay. And why I think that is exactly that kind of sport. Because I was imagining a sport who actually is having a strong team dependency, that you have, let's say, the sourcer, you have the recruiter, and you have hiring manager and interviewers, and you all need to give the stick forward. And it can't be that, we only train one piece of this team, or we only measuring like one piece of this team. We definitely need to give attention to all of them. And we definitely need also have, system and measures which support all of them. Like not, let's say, the first two ones, but what about mid one? What about last one? They also need to have actually systems, tools, knowledge to support the team. And if then somebody is not running or not trained enough, of course, the outcome will not be as we expect. Top of that, there is also the part that there is also other teams. We can then imagine, okay, one team is for, let's say, Google is running, HRS is running, Health is running. They all have them relate teams. And they all then, depending, what is the process, what is the training, and what is the other tools or measures which are given to this team, and how then all of those teams really play together, or how those teams actually collaborate together and support together. And this was actually, I think it's something, in my opinion, which is currently a challenge still in many hiring processes, or how the hiring teams are really functioning together. Because recruitment as a function, as we only taking, let's say, the first ones, let's say there is sourcing, recruitment, maybe coordinator, but then the other piece of the team, which we have dependency, is already quite distant. Okay, sometimes we have these people who are really into recruitment, or very, very passionate and taking priority, but it's not always the case. Of course, you can also take the other sports in the table. You can actually have some kind of similarity on other team sports, like let's say football would be actually, I think, catastrophic if everybody plays, but now the goalkeeper don't know what to do, what's the role, and never trained on what this goalkeeper does, never touched the ball maybe, but we put him on the field and say, okay, it is what it is, it plays as it plays. But this very often happens in the hiring teams, that, for example, we're putting somebody interviewing with no training whatsoever. And at the same time, we're doing so critical decisions. I mean, right people in right places, they can, make the company, or also lead on some sort of other catastrophic situations. Imagine the positions we're talking about, CTO, CFO, if it is a wrong hire, or we did miss something. Why not to put more priority, more heart on that? Then, if we're coming from to the digging even more deeper, I was going into the hiring models, and there is not much of things going on there. This is something I already found some time ago, and if somebody out there have different hiring manager maturity model, hiring models, top of those three, which I will actually show today and which I found myself, please share with me, because I'm super interested to know more, to learn more, and see if I can actually resolve this challenge and put some of work. But yeah, here, hiring manager maturity model, we can see that we have passive aggressive piece here, engaged ones, and then talent champions. Now, maybe you think back of your own hiring managers. How many talent champions do you have in your teams? How many passive aggressive? And maybe the most bigger group is in this kind of engaged block, I would guess. And how we then can move those people between on those blocks to train them more, teach them more, bring more of awareness, understand how we can actually support the hiring manager better, that our own like let's say work or collaboration or outcomes would be faster and smoother, and they could do some work for us. And I wouldn't say that I would do just, let's say, let's hit the hiring manager, they're going to have now the hiring manager maturity model. But I think we can have maturity models to every of those roles. We can have recruiter maturity model. We can have a sourcer maturity model, interviewer, bar raiser, but needed. Everybody should have understanding what kind of skill set, behaviors, accountability we actually looking from those roles. And then what is the tools, what is the support, what is the training we can actually give them to do better, to make better choices, to build better teams with better outcomes. And I think, in my opinion, we can't ever make it work if we don't measure it correctly, meaning we should also measure not only recruiters and recruiting, but hiring teams and everybody's piece on that. And let's go even further. I would say also that how we could bring this topic into the feedback conversations, performance valuations, because somehow we never talk about it in this piece, like it's not important. And if we don't do it there, then it's ever will be important. It's ever will be looked as something important what I should be doing. I have worked in one company when we really had 360 feedback, when we choose hiring manager giving feedback to recruiters. And sometimes I challenge also that people could choose the people and they would always be, okay, this is person I get, along well, this person I like, to challenge themselves also to ask feedback of somebody who could be maybe giving some kind of critical notes, maybe challenge you in something. But I also saw so much less other way around from, let's say, hiring managers aside, looking feedback from recruiters. I think we also need to fix that we get feedback from the candidates, from the hiring manager, interviewers, and recruiters back to the system. Then we can all get better. There is also a few more hiring maturity curve examples. This one is the greenhouse one. And you can see here also, we have chaotic, we have inconsistent, when maybe some few good, let's say, individuals is driving it. You always have few of them who is learning, who is pushing both sides, in recruitment, sourcing, hiring manager side. But systematic, you already see that we're talking about engaged hiring teams. And I show one more, you will receive all of that you can dig deeper if you would like to. That one talent acquisition maturity model, when we again see that in reactive tactical recruiting, we are rather like order takers. And here, I think we also playing huge part ourselves in this narrative to let people to push us to that kind of role, that we are really expert in recruitment and we should be partners and we should actually bring all that we know to actually try to create this relationship of partnership. But yeah, going forward from here, that is my let's say my biggest challenge or biggest question here, that we all actually want the same thing, but then somehow, if it's happening in real life, we really can't get it done, or we're really not collaborating well, or don't knowing who roles well, that we have this kind of showstoppers there in the process. And I constantly have dig into that why, if we all want the same thing, why this collaboration is so rocky, and what is the things we could do? And there is lots of small things, and of course, anybody depending of their team, their resources, what they have in hand, can start from somewhere. And of course, there's lots of things you can do, but you can start from somewhere to make it better, make it more collaborative, and make this connection when this report happen, and try out some new stuff. And here is just a bunch of ideas. I just go through some of them more thoroughly. I would say that in recruitment and sourcing, both cases, really preparation is the key. I don't know, maybe it's the case because I'm really a teacher for my first education. I would say, didn't do your homework. No, we're not going forward from here. But actually, I think it works exactly in recruitment and sourcing. I do think that preparation is key. Understanding and defining the role is super important. And you should never go to start already some, put the job ad out, sourcing and so on, without any correct kickoff intake meeting. And we need to know what good looks like. but we also need to challenge the hiring manager. That is not the situation when hiring manager comes in and say, okay, this is the list of things, and I have only this much money, and off you go. No, it's actually the situation when we can actually bring our market knowledge, everything we know, the intelligence, and also push back or also mirror back that something is not maybe possible and we need to let something go. Then it could work. But very often we just take it in and run somewhere, and then a few weeks later, we know that, okay, this is really not working, but then we have promised something already. I would definitely also suggest write everything down. And nowadays we have all those cool AI tools and, let's say, MetaView, all of those tools you can actually take notes and transcript. Please start using it, because then you take this pain off on this kind of situation that, okay, we have intake meeting, who should now take the notes, and I don't have time for this. Let the tool do the job, and then really send to the whole hiring team that this is what we discussed, this is what we agreed, and also this is definitely a place to manage expectations, to talk about real timelines, and talk about how we will communicate, what way we will communicate, how many times we really meet, that all of that which is operational around the process should be also discussed and write down and mirror back. One important thing, I would always run the hiring team briefing. And I mean, I have done it myself as well, that you think, okay, they have so busy calendars, nobody has time, let's start doing it. What normally happens is exactly the football example, that there is some people in this hiring team who actually don't know what they should be doing, what is actually the goal, and then they doing it based on what they know. Maybe some are, most of them don't. And then you actually can some sort of very surprised feedback, which is not what you know. And I think that we then running in a broken process at the end, or broken like briefing meetings, when you can see that all the hiring team members somehow have different understanding who we were actually looking for. And that's not happening. We need to do it beforehand. And I know it's difficult. And I know it's difficult to really put the leg down and say that, no, we can't move forward if we don't make it clear. I would always calibrate to also be sure that we're on the right path, also saying what good looks like, and you understand your hiring managers better, source better, and source together, I want to say, and listen also Alla's talk, because I really loved how she was actually explaining, and it's one of the same series of talks, how she makes her work transparent and clear to the hiring managers. And there is no questions then, because our brain is that if we don't know what's happening, one side, we and me as well, we assume that, hey, yeah, look, everything works, and I'm sourcing hardly, and I barely have time to really sleep and eat. And somehow we assume that this other part there knows that. But unfortunately, nobody's psychic, and they don't. And if our brains normally don't know what's going on, we glue the piece there. We're making something up. And very often, this is not a good thing we are actually making up. I experienced it very strongly actually in agency side, where our clients were like, we start the process, clients pay money, and then is this part of the process when really recruiter sources go into profile, the sourcing, they investigating, the digging in, and very often they didn't see really importance to update the client on those things what they did, because it's okay, but I'm doing my sourcing here, and they should wait. And then, of course, the client came back to me and said, hey, Renita, what's happening? I paid huge money and nothing is happening. There is silence, nada. And to really, really see that it's not happening, we really need to regularly brief and find out the ways which is suitable both sides to do that. But it needs to be constant. What's more, train the hiring team really. Run the shadowing sessions. As I see also the sport teams, I mean, everybody in the team need to be trained. Not much of use with training, sourcers and recruiters in the first part, but then we have interviewers who never touched the hiring training, never know that how to actually run one, and never know really what is really expected to them. Surely, I think you need to have some basic process in place, and I think what we also very often forget, that what is everybody's role? To be very clear, what is hiring manager doing? What is recruiter doing? What sourcer is doing? What coordinator is doing? What they are actually accountable of and what they not. And I also suggest to write it down to everybody be clear on that. Cool tools, please use cool tools and use tools for whole hiring teams. Have very different experience on that. I have worked in companies when really the hiring teams, recruitment tools were hiring team tools, let's say like that. Everybody knows how to use that. And then other way around, when recruitment tools were only recruiters and sourcers tools. But I do think, in my opinion, it's not good because we kind of teaching people to be helpless and teaching people to ask you all the time and stuff. I think we need to also teach the full hiring team to serve themselves, to find information themselves, know where materials are, know how to find the CV at least, and have it in one place. And last not least, I think very, very good idea is to find a leadership sponsor. And ideally, it is the CEO. And the CEO could bring really the idea how important recruitment is. He can actually bring it up in his talks. It can be presentation in slides. It can be in newsletters. Why not show also side of the sales, how recruitment is doing? I have actually experience to work in company where we bring it up that how we're doing, what's the part of the teams, and all those numbers as well, because it's same important as sales. Those are the people we're bringing in the company who actually need to make this sales happen, who actually need to make the revenue. That why not to also bring it then there and get attention what the topic really needs, that whole the company would understand that, hey, we're part of that, we can help out. Some of the communication, we already talked about updating, agree best ways how to stay connected. A very good idea, again, if it's super difficult with some people. In one company, we agreed that we use it Slack, and whatever the other communication happens, every Friday, 3:00, they get a little overview of how their positions are doing. Few bullet points, and that's it. But this took out an anxiety of not knowing, and to know that, okay, whatever happens, 3:00 Friday, I always get my little update. Embed internal communication, as I mentioned, newsletter, Slack channels, something about recruitment, also mentioning it, because it's also as sales or marketing should be one of the topics we talk about to do better. Giving and asking feedback, already mentioned as well. And I do mention also our Glassdoor thing, because there I get very, very, very different views. People are saying, yeah, this horrible platform where these few best candidates or workers giving this feedback. I would say yes and no. because it's the same that for me, as I'm traveling much, and if I go to different location and I would like to go to eat, I always check out in TripAdvisor. And apparently there is those few best eaters or restaurant clients who are saying that it was 3 times already the fly was in my soup. I think you would react to that if you're a restaurant owner. You don't want your restaurant to go to bankruptcy, because this is only information I could get. I don't know anybody here in Portugal. I need to rely on something. And this is the source I'm relaying. This is the source which is available for me. And the same happens, unfortunately, also with Glassdoor. I do make a buying decision, sometimes based on that, what is written there. And I do compare companies. And if one company have, let's say, the rating something 4, and other one have those pissed employees constantly, and I see the pattern, of course, it's something we need to also take care of. A very good idea in one company I worked was actually Slack channel. And the Slack channel, we had CEO and leadership level for every department. Recruitment was, let's say, the messenger. We always take the review, post it there. And the rule was that if we could guess about what department it was, then this department leader manager should actually craft the communication. Employer branding will help them to make it right. If we didn't know, or if it was general about leadership, then the CEO would do it himself. But it also was possibility to show what people are actually doing out there, because very often also leadership is not going there. They don't know, they don't budget every day. What's more, retrospectives, very good use of traffic light feedback technique. Who have used that? We tried at one company to do it end of the recruitment process, because we were confused that, okay, recruiters felt unease to say the hiring managers, the hiring teams, that if something is not going very smoothly. And this technique actually help you if you write it to the full hiring team that, hey, green, this was the things where actually went super well. This is the things we yellow need to really get better. And then red, the things we should stop doing. And then next time the same team start recruitment, you can actually revisit that and see, okay, this was the issues we should actually work on or stop doing. And maybe we not know in this time more deliberate on that, how we plan our things. Practice also mirroring, for example, a great tool for making a report and, let's say, relationship better. There is later on also some links for that. You can actually use it. And set KPIs, OKRs, ROCs, whatever you use to the full hiring team, and discuss with the full hiring team. And also, let's see, recruiters anyways have them, sources probably also, but also hiring managers, everybody in the team, that they would feel accountable. What is their part? That if you do, let's say, reschedule 3-4 times, what does it mean to the process? And later on, somebody comes, okay, why the time to hire is so long? What you guys in recruitment are doing? Not to point fingers, but we would actually need to understand when it's actually happened to make it better. And here, now it's getting fast forward, because I have a bunch of just examples gathered from my different companies I've worked, that maybe it helps. I don't know, great idea, great something, thought about something. Here we have one, wiki page, Confluence page, but there was all of them: hiring manager role, recruiter role, sourcer role, coordinator. Write it down. Who is a hiring manager? What they do, what they're accountable of, how they measure, whole process. There is a same wiki page. We try to also manage that who does what in where, like role, hiring manager, recruiter, people operations, because there was also a little bit this kind of gray zone, how you take it over then, and when actually hiring ends and people operations take over. In wikis, you can always like really add links and tag then a little bit deeper documents if it's needed. And I also suggest sometimes it's good to do very small micro learning videos just about something like, I don't know, how your ATS is working, how the coordination is working, but just very, very short videos, because people like, information, this kind of span is so short that if it's a long video, nobody will watch it. There is a link to the traffic light that you can actually go and see that how you could actually use it. Link to the mirroring technique. Please go and check out if it's actually interesting for you. There is also other NLP techniques which can be good, because we're talking about really collaboration, relationship, trust, how to build that. And saying again, you can be technically very, very good, but if you don't manage also that part of your job, which is hiring managers, stakeholders, team management, then unfortunately, I have seen that this is actually not goes very far, because this is, you never actually can then bring this, your knowledge or what you can do with your skills to your hiring manager or hiring teams. And here is actually one very cool project which we did together with Karina Mattikas from one previous teams. She is an employer brand, let's say, guru. And we did social selling index came actually, and this kind of employer branding, a crash course for hiring managers. Again, one very good tip to bring more awareness, because we figured out that people just don't know. They just don't know how to do those things. And this is like real little bites and bits you can help them out. And we all know that how much easier it is for hiring on the teams or companies when really the hiring managers are working on their employer brand. And also it's for your whole company to bring your culture more out and be more visible, not cost really nothing. And there is some cool ideas from Karina. I also added her LinkedIn page here. She is a freelancer now. Everybody needs to create help creating something similar or whatever, which is about internal communication, employer branding, personal branding. She's really a very, very great person for that. Reach out to her. And look at that. Here we were playing. And I just like also all those comments that people actually were really, let's say, a little bit suspicious first, but then getting into that, because I'm not really, like, let's say, we have this kind of conversation about the social selling index, what it means. I mean, I really don't care much what it means, but it's an amazing tool for a gamification. And if you then have like a sales department, people who link to that, this is a numbers game then, and everybody wants to compete. And you can add also little prizes to the game, and the prize is also linked to the employer branding. That this is super cool, and it worked really well. And of course, not everybody will participate, but you will actually gain few who doing it very well, and they can actually set absolutely great example. Here is more. You see, people are very, very, let's say, happy about the success that they are now true believers if they had some sort of doubts beforehand. And there is just to conclude all the talk, the same which we talked already, that you can a little bit go point by point and see that, do we have something in a place? Can we do something about those topics? How our hiring teams are really working? Do we really talk for full like a hiring teams, or we only building something up for sourcers and recruiters? And find those little things and find those like great small wins where to start, and showcase to the whole company and others that how you actually can do it, and which are your like let's say this ambassador hiring managers, that this is the behavior we actually want to assure, this is the behavior we actually want to do. And yeah, That's, I think, is my almost final slide. Why we should do that? I think it's I haven't seen a team where it is not a pain or challenge. I do think that we all together can really build a great hiring teams. And just for that, we need to tweak some things here and there and really start to think of hiring like a team sport and who is playing what role in this team, and also taking it, keeping them accountable on that, but also same time giving them tools, support, and training to do so. And what at the end, I think it ends up in a culture of recruiting and culture of hiring, when all your company hires and understand how important it is to make hiring priority, to make time for that. And then probably we don't need to do this kind of memes anymore, that those questions are not popping up anymore. I think it's my final one. That thank you everybody, and let's stay connected.
Love it. Love the energy. Love the last photo. So good. So good. Was that taken in Lisbon?
This is actually taken, I think, 2 years ago, and it's in Spain, and maybe it's Fungirola. I don't think I pronounced it right.
Somewhere warm, somewhere in the
Somewhere in the
Mediterranean Sea. That's all that matters. Great. Hey, Renita, if people have questions in the chat, please type them. But I do have a question for you. What has been the most difficult stakeholder or hiring managers that you've ever worked with?
I think my would go the one who is most unresponsive, like really the stakeholder who don't give you anything, meaning that you do really try your side, you write emails, you try to call, you try to make a connection, but nothing is happening really. And then you get answers like, let's say thumbs, or, one sentence or one word that you most likely can't do anything with that. This is not the information. And then you need to start digging more deeper. What's happening? And then my first those thoughts about this topic came from that. What's happening? He is a hiring manager. Very clearly, the person don't want to hire. And where do this secret now lies, that what we need to dig out now?
Yeah. Hey, what about in terms of the relationship between sources and recruiters, right? Because often, depending on like the type of setup, it's often sourced that work directly with the recruiter, and then the recruiter often works with the hiring manager. And in a way, of course, it's on the wider perspective, it's the sourcer, recruiter, stakeholder relationship. What's your experience there, especially as sourcers, right? Working with the recruiter that then worked with the hiring manager, for example, how to best do that, or like any thoughts around that?
Yeah, I would also cut this silo probably out, that if there would be definitely intakes or meetings when recruiter talk about the profile or something like that with the hiring manager, I would definitely also add sourcer in there, because otherwise I think we creating this telephone game here. But in the case when the recruiter is a stakeholder in some of that, I think most of the same things like really work there as well. That you build a report, you build a process, you have regular, meetings on communication channel, how you do that, and you need to discuss it and put it in place. Because otherwise, I think it's normally end up badly and in disappointment, and I think it's managing the expectations to both sides.
Christine's asking in the chat, what would you recommend if you need to build a report with an existing client hiring manager, if there's been a different sourcer before?
Different sourcer before. Okay, that she's taking over something. I think. Yeah. That I would really code in a blank page there. Start from the scratch really, and say, okay, like do the briefing, do the intake, really, like, because you're a different person, and you should probably build a report yourself with that client. Just take all the information you know about what you were given, but really go directly to build a relationship with this person from the scratch.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Renita, what has been the best stakeholder like relationship that you've ever worked with? I mean, maybe it's hard to like find a favorite, but like what stands out and why?
I think we had actually a few just recently, and I think the balance of both things, that I don't think that the best stakeholder also like let's say in a hiring manager is somebody which is just super nice. Like I think we sometimes also getting it wrong, like somebody who's always nice, nothing, but somebody who is actually really the same, want to build a report, the role is priority, the person is making time for that, but also giving honest feedback if things are not going as planned and timely, but also the person who is up to taking feedback and also implement it or bring it to their team. Because this is super healthy. And again, I haven't seen it so often, like the hiring manager say, okay, I hear you, I agree with that. Let me talk with my hiring team. That's actually can't go on because the core, goal is that.
Yeah. Yeah. Renita, we have, sorry. Sorry.
Tervisex in Estonian.
Sorry. We have Savita, who asked the question, how to handle a hiring manager who's saying, I can't source. It's your job. How do we handle this type of feedback?
I mean, the hiring manager is saying that they can source.
Yeah. So this is how I understand it. So the hiring manager is telling Savita or someone, hey, you can't source. That's your job. Like, what do you do with that kind of feedback?
It depends if it's agreed like that or not. I would say I would manage this expectation bit beforehand to say that, actually the roles, that who is doing what. And I think you can do it differently. You can have like companies and setups when the sourcing is a part of the hiring manager job and they know what to do. Of course, you need to train them what to do. Then otherwise it would be, I think, a bit of nonsense to put them to do so. But if it was agreed that is their job, then of course you probably need to talk through why it's actually thinking like that. But I think here is some sort of expectation and role management thing which is not in a place. I would suggest, as we showed there, hiring manager, recruiter, sourcer, who is doing what in the process, because what can work for one company might not others. What can work for a startup can't work on a big corporate company. But I think important is to define that and manage the expectation that it's not popping up later on. Then that's just like, hard, that burns there, that if it's, more almost like a middle of the process, and then we thought something differently about each other, or like role or what things we are accountable of actually.
Yeah. Renita, we're coming to an end. What is the best way for people to connect with you? LinkedIn,
yeah, write me there. And if you have questions I couldn't actually answer now, please write the question there. And also please share any material on the topic, create article, what you have find, because I want to dig deeper on that and really resolve the challenge that how we get this kind of in one company working. Also, if somebody has it working seamlessly as a hiring team, please let me know. Or I mean, Adrian, you would be also interested. Let's make sure
100%. Yeah, for sure. Renita, thank you so much for coming. For our audience, for sticking until the end. If you're watching this later on the recording, I hope you really enjoyed the session with Renita. Next week, we have Sophie, and I'm going to hopefully pronounce her name correctly, Okonkwo, who will uncover where to find hidden talent hotspots that you might be missing. Sophie's been on the webinar 2 years ago. She's a great keynote speaker. So stay tuned. What's going to be our 9th session and second to last session already of our sourcing webinar series. Renita, thank you so much. And I hope to see everyone again next week.
Thank you.